Hey everyone, Joey Philippi here with another great interview I did with a woman out of Texas named Jennifer Haston. She is a public speaker, she's a trainer, she's a business coach, and in a nutshell, she's a firecracker. The energy that I got from this interview was phenomenal. The information that she gives is great, and I cannot wait for you to get all of it. So I hope you enjoy. So Jennifer, first start by telling me what you believe a confident woman looks like.
That is a fantastic question, Joey. It looks different, I think, for everybody. Different shapes, different sizes, different ages, different races. One of the biggest things I would say a confident woman has is she knows who she is, and she isn't afraid to share that vision with the world, and being authentic is a big part of that equation.
Yeah, that's really good of the authenticity of someone, but then also being okay to share that. And I feel like I even at moments will notice the language I use where it's almost passive when I say things instead of being like, no, like I already have decided. I don't need to say I think I'm going to, and just how it is a thing that women work on and stuff. But it's true. It's not just something we think in ourselves, but how we share it with others. Yeah, that's really good. Growing up, was there any great advice you received that changed the outlook of your life or current situation?
Yes, I met a wonderful man when I was 16, and his name was John Olmo. And he was really great at instilling a confidence in me that I have now, but at 16 I absolutely did not have. He was this wonderful guy who just saw the Jennifer Haston that I was becoming instead of the Jennifer that I was then. And he was the kind of guy that he not only would give you the shirt off his back, you know, if you didn't have anything. Not only would he do that, he would take materials out of the ether and make a shirt for you if he didn't even have one himself. I mean, that's how generous he was. And the fact that he was there for me and helped me mold into the person that I am now, he was so completely, authentically himself and so loving and so generous. And that really helped shape me.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And something that you look back now on and is like, it's that moment that helped me be who I am today.
That's 100%. Awesome.
What are some key moments in your life or a key moment that you believed created your confidence you have today? We just covered that, but if there's anything else.
Oh no, that's actually a great follow-up because there have been many moments. I think that any confident woman's journey has several of those moments. One of the biggest ones, besides John, when I was 14, so completely random, I went to this Shriner's induction ceremony for the guy that I was kind of dating.
Yeah.
And we weren't real super close, but I sat next to this woman who I had no idea how important she was going to be. And I'm a very do-gooder kind of girl. I did everything that I was told to do. And for some reason, I didn't stand up during the Pledge of Allegiance. And that doesn't make me a non-American. It just means that at that particular point, I was feeling rebellious. So I didn't stand up. And after that was over, the person sitting next to me, her name was Joan Ellen Young, and she said, "It's really interesting that you didn't stand up. I sense that's not a normal thing for you." I said, "That's really weird that you would pick that up." And we just started to talk. And she told me much later that she sensed in me a loneliness and a lack of love in my life that she just felt emanating off of me. And so she said, "I'm going to befriend this person. I have no idea what that's going to look like," because I was 14 and she was, I guess, in her 30s.
Oh, okay.
But it's become an incredibly important relationship. And the fact that someone who was virtually a stranger is now an extremely close relationship helped build the confident woman that I am today.
Are you still in contact with her?
Yes.
Oh, cool. That's really awesome. How funny, just from something, being rebellious or your own way of asking for help or something that you don't even know turned into something that now, years and years later, you're still have a relationship with. That's so cool.
I treasure that relationship. It's really important to me.
That's awesome. What advice would you like to pass down to the next generation of women?
Oh, that is such a great question. All these questions are great, Joey. They really help get to the heart of what makes somebody confident. The biggest piece of advice I would give to the next generation is be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do not let anyone tell you what you can't do, can achieve, try for. Just go for whatever it is that you're interested in. Pursue it. Don't let someone tell you that you can't attack math because you're a woman, because there are so many different opportunities just by opening your eyes and saying, you know what, this is an opportunity that I can achieve, even if it hasn't happened before. You could be the first to do it.
Yeah. It's so good. Be yourself. I love it. Who do you look up to as a confident woman, or a few key women in your life, and why? And then how has this person or people influenced who you becoming a confident woman today?
There are many women in my life that I could point to. Joan Ellen is one of them, specifically because she became a mother at a young age, and she decided to pursue her dream and go back to school and become a licensed practicing counselor. And she's incredible at it. She's also an office manager, and but her real bliss is counseling people. She loves people. She has a heart for people. That has taught me to have a heart for people. My good friend Rachel, who I have known in my years in theater, we've stayed very, very close through the years, and I've watched her become a mother and blossom in that particular role, and the changes and the deepening of her love for people. That is something that has really, really resonated with me. Mm-hmm. My friend Jessie is somebody who is completely 100% herself all of the time. And that's something that I have really taken from her as a possible way to be after being a lifelong people pleaser. I'm happy to say that she's really drummed that out of me through her influence. And one other person is my good friend Karen, who she was my very first director in the show that I was in. She also helped me to find my own path as a director, because she let me be stage manager in one of the first shows that I ever did. I stage managed for her. I'm also an actor, so wearing many different hats in that arena, it's extremely helpful to have a guide going down that road, and Karen is 100% herself all of the time.
And so are you doing live theater? Is that what you do?
That is one of the things that I do. I'm really passionate about theater.
That's cool. Means you're really good in front of people, or you're good at faking it.
Exactly.
What obstacles do you believe exist today that interfere with women's confidence?
Oh my gosh, I think that fear is so insidious. And it's like John Acuff says, fear lies to you. It says, oh, it's too late. No, you're too young. What's the perfect time? There is no perfect time. And I think like one of the biggest things that stops people from being confident is fear.
Mm-hmm. That's good. And it's interesting that I don't think anyone actually has said fear as its main thing for that question. But I feel like so many things are fueled by that it's it should be said more often, is kind of what I'm saying. Yeah, there's a good point behind that, because fear becomes then our own worst enemy that is created in us, even sometimes not even by the outs or the external factors of other people. We just create it for some reason. So yeah, it's pretty big of an obstacle for sure. Are there areas in your life you feel less confident? If so, why?
Yes. I very specifically mentioned math earlier, because I'm hoping that my difficulty with math will inspire some wonderful mathematician to look up and go, I can do that. Just because it hasn't been done doesn't mean that it can't be done. Mm-hmm. And I failed the 6th grade because of math, and that's a big part of what I think helped me to go, you know what, I can get beyond this. And it is something that I still struggle, but a big part of my message to people is speak it and then it will happen. So I'm good at math and I'm getting better all the time is something that I actively say. We were speaking earlier about passive language and active language, and I think it's super important to speak about things as though they've already occurred.
Oh, yeah.
I am really good at math. I continue to get better at math. And because I failed 6th grade because of that math, I was extremely fortunate that someone came along and helped me to skip the 8th grade later so I could catch up.
That's pretty awesome. It's a way to catch up.
Yes.
It's like, screw you, 8th grade. I don't need you.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I missed a whole year of worrying about my clothes and what I was wearing and what cool kid didn't like me.
Yeah.
So.
It's just like you did the math. 2 6s is 12, so I don't need it.
I like that. I did the math. That's great.
Oh my gosh. How crazy though, just for math, that would be enough when in school, and sometimes you see kids that are passed through that are like, failing everything, but they're still moved up in grades like in high school and stuff. So, oh my gosh. Crazy. I'm happy to hear that you overcame that like above and beyond and kind of stuck it to it. So that's awesome. What things do you struggle with in your life personally or professionally that hinder you from being confident, and how do you overcome those?
Something very deep to me that I have struggled with my entire life is my weight. And the thing is that in the backwards analysis, when you look back and you look at all those pictures of yourself and you say, oh my gosh, I was not fat at all. Someone along the way told me I was fat, and I believed it over and over and over again. So I've had to work really hard to create this new recording in my head that I am sexy, I am confident, I am beautiful. And it's really, really important to note that that doesn't come from someone else. That has to be internal. You have to change that message. And something that I did in 2014, my birthday is in January, and I always like to say that my birthday is my new year.
Oh, nice.
And that particular year, I had lost about 75 pounds.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I used the paleo diet and I exercised, so I don't want to say, oh yeah, it was this magical thing, I totally lost 75 pounds. It was hard work. It was super hard work, and I lost so many different, I lost 3 pounds here, 2 pounds there, and it was all specifically to get to this goal of doing this glamorous photo shoot where I'm dressed up like a pinup model from the 40s.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Oh, really? And it was incredible. I mean, it felt so amazing to be on the other side of the camera. I mean, I have performance in my background, but the modeling, it was like I felt like I was a star from the 1940s wearing a bathing suit. I was a bathing beauty. I was Marilyn Monroe. I was all of these other people, but mostly I was Jennifer Haston.
Yeah.
And it was amazing, and it's something that I continue to struggle with my weight. It was a great, huge step forward towards self-love and loving my body, but I still struggle, so I exercise, and I work towards being in the best health possible. It's really interesting how that goal changes as you grow older. Mm-hmm. And you figure out, I am happy with the way I look, but I know that I can look better. For me. No one else. For me.
Mm-hmm. I love the 2 points of the fact that, so I'm really big into fitness as well, and I've struggled with not always being as thin and fit and, fabulous as I want to in certain clothes, and so I think that there's too much, especially in America, of just this quick fix stuff, and so I love the fact that you said, there is no miracle. I think the miracle diet is the long, hard one where you eat right and you work out, and you say no to 3 pieces of cake, and you sacrifice. That seems to be the miracle worker, because, and I know there's people that are losing weight doing other things, but we don't know what those long-lasting impressions on their body and on everything is when you're drinking 2 pre-made shakes a day, or these funky pre-made foods, and I don't know. So I commend you for ignoring all that and putting in the work to do the hard thing. I mean, 75 pounds is not something you do in a month. That's a good year of consistency, of just dedication and stuff. So that's awesome. I knew there was another point, but I was too big on that one. So if it comes back, I'll go back to it.
No worries.
So did you love the photos?
I am in love with those photos. And, the greatest thing that happened out of this was that my husband, when I came home, I made him go hide in another room so I could take my casual clothes off and, put on this fancy dress,
Yeah.
so he could see me all made up with my makeup and everything else. And, he came out and he said, you look like you do every other day. Because that's the way that he sees me, right? And I really want to ram that point home. That was about me. That had nothing to do with him. That was about me. And for me to feel more confident, that has really led to a lot more confident moves in my life since I've done this photo shoot.
Yeah, that's so awesome, though, to the idea of, like, that just shows how good of a healthy support system you have in your spouse. I mean, your husband, you know, that was, if you could have asked for the most loving comment, that would have been it. Sorry, my cat, like, wants to participate. And
no worries. Hi, Kitty.
I know. She's like, why aren't you putting me down? I don't understand.
I want to be interviewed, too. I'm a confident cat.
She's exactly. Yeah, exactly. Confidence for cats. She probably wouldn't be the best thing because she's not the nice. She likes me, and that's about it. She's one of those. She lives up to the names of cats of being kind of bitchy and.
I see.
Yeah, but I don't know. I've had her for over 8 years, so she's kind of a big deal to me.
Aww. Yeah. She's part of your family.
Exactly. I think my boyfriend would be fine if we got rid of her, but he puts up with her due to the time that I've had her. But
I see.
Yeah, so just the fact that that's his comment instead of being like, oh my gosh, you're the best you've ever looked. I mean, yes, that would have been amazing to hear too, but the fact that no matter what you put on or what makeup you have, like, he still views you as that pinup model regardless. And so that's awesome to hear because I feel like there's so many women that don't have that in their lives. I mean, I hear some of my friends that are in these relationships that I try to tell them over and over of, like, I luckily don't have anyone now because I'm 32, so a lot of my friends are in serious marriages or stuff, and they're all healthy relationships. But, you know, in the past where they date people and it was just like, this isn't a good guy, and this is sucking your life away. And so that's a thing that I think more women need to analyze is what support system they have around them, because we already have enough issues fighting against us outside of our four walls to keep our confidence up. We don't need, an enemy living inside those to counteract them as well. How do you work on continuing to be a confident woman in today's world? And do you feel like you know how to work on your confidence?
You actually nailed it a couple of seconds ago when you said a support system. Mm-hmm. That is a crucial part of my success. I have Joan Ellen, who's basically my adopted mom. I have my husband, who is amazing. I have wonderful girlfriends who are super supportive. I'm supportive of them. And I do a really major opportunity, I think, is we have to make sure that we're hanging out with people who add to us, who don't subtract. And it's really, really easy because of that people-pleasing thing that I mentioned before, where you're just like, I don't want to be mean. Be mean. Be selfish. Like, take care of yourself first is the biggest thing, I think, that helps. And it's really difficult to say no sometimes, but you know that you're not going to have a good time. So if you're not going to have a good time, why go? Right. Why dress up? Why put anything on, clothes or anything, to go and be in this fake relationship that's on life support because you don't really care about them. They don't really care about you. Mm-hmm. So why do that to yourself? And most importantly, why do that to your life? We have a finite number of minutes. Time is the only thing you can't get back. And anytime you come back from a specific event drained and not in a good way, you have to look at that and decide, why am I spending time with someone who subtracts from me instead of someone who adds to me and multiplies to me?
Yeah. It's interesting when I work with clients, like my coaching clients, and how I talk to them, and it's more for a shock factor, is I'll say, I need you to be a bitch with a loving heart. And they're like, what? And I said, well, for some reason, society has this image of women and bitches, and like, I'm not okay with it, actually. I'm like, I don't want my community or the movement that I want to use all this awareness for to get behind that. But but when I say the word bitch, most women know what that means. You're being feisty, or you're standing up for yourself, or you're putting your foot down, whatever. But I say, in the same token, I want you to do it with a loving heart. And all I'm asking you is to use the word no. But if I would tell them, please, I need you to start setting boundaries and say no, they don't receive it as well as when I say the first thing. Because they're like, what do you ask? And I go, it's all right. you can blame it on me. When you are sitting in that situation, again, with that person or whoever we're talking about, and you know that you don't want to do what they're asking of you, or they're sucking up your time, or they're talking about the same pessimistic crap, you can think of me and say it's my fault that now I'm making you say no. And that's fine.
Love that.
And it's interesting just how hard it is for us to set those boundaries. Like, I remember, and part of where all this started was in my early 20s. It was about 10 years ago when I got out of a relationship that I'd been in for about 3 years. And I realized, well, at that point I was heartbroken, thinking, life's over. I thought I was going to be with him forever, yada, yada, yada. Looking back, him breaking up with me was one of the best things ever, because it was more just contentment. It wasn't what true happiness is. Like, I know what true love is now. There's like limitless to it. And with that scenario, love was limited. But I looked around and realized I was like 30 to 40 pounds heavier than I am now. I didn't know the word no. I was going to school full time. I was also being an assistant manager at a local bank, well, Wells Fargo, but local to us. And I put everyone ahead of me. And I was like, I don't know who I am. I'm like, who is Joey Philippi? I have no idea besides all these other external labels that have been given to me by people. I was this person's best friend. I'm now this person's ex-girlfriend. I'm this person's boss. But I had no idea who I was. And so I took the next year and a half and really started learning the word no and doing this. And I remember at times I was so scared to say it. I almost felt like I would shake inside, because I'm like, oh my gosh, when I tell them that I can't come because I really need to work out first, I need to prioritize, they're going to hate me. It's like this whole internal, and then, you would say no. I'm like, no, I can't today. I really, I have some other stuff, but maybe this weekend. And they'd go, okay. And then inside I'm like, what? Okay. And so
I know exactly what you mean, because the first time I started setting boundaries and telling people no, and I took it stronger than that. I would just say no and not explain myself, because I used to do so much explaining. So now it's like, no, let me get in touch with you later, right? Mm-hmm, that idea. And so that was kind of the thing that I had to do. But I totally know what you're talking about, because you thought the world was going to end because you said no.
Right.
And it doesn't.
No.
Really healthy people have boundaries, so they understand boundaries.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And the thing is that we're selfish by human nature. So if you continue to give more, people will take it. And we're all guilty of it. So it's not like a unique thing to only negative, evil individuals that you want to cut out of your life always. So when you set those boundaries, if they really care about you and love you, they're going to go, okay, well, let's figure out a different time, or they'll fluctuate their schedule so that it works with you. And it's not a big deal. But yeah, it takes time getting to that point and understanding that it's okay to say that, for sure. Yeah. So funny. It had one word, 2 letters, so powerful and life-changing. Who knew, right?
It's so true, though. Oh, it's like the best advice. It's simple but hard to follow.
Oh, yes. Yeah, most of the best advice is like that, I think. It's most of it is very simple, but it's the hardest to follow. But if you do, it's the most rewarding in the end. It's just interesting. It's we don't need to make stuff so complicated. That's what we need to quit doing.
That's my specialty. I make things complicated. I'm really good at it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, make it pretty and color it up and all this stuff. And you're like, is that still just a piece of orange? Yeah, but it's fancy. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I get you. That's so true.
I believe for confident women to live with intention requires bravery. What does it mean to you to be brave in how you live your life?
I'm glad you asked this question, because I think that bravery is one of those things that it's like, oh, you have to be brave. Okay, well, what does that mean? It's really good to quantify it. So for me, being brave is asking questions. I have always been someone who asks questions, because in the asking of the question, you admit that you don't know everything.
100%.
And I think that's being brave, because we're all so caught up in, oh, what's my image and how do I look, and oh, someone's not going to think I'm smart and I don't deserve this job, and the imposter syndrome kicks in and you feel like, oh, I can't ask this question. I have no such issue. I ask questions all the time.
Totally.
And I used to ask it with the caveat of, I think that it's this, but what's the question? Now I just ask the question.
Yeah, for real. No, it's so good because, yeah, the only way you really learn, I mean, anyone that thinks they knows everything, they don't. And so it's almost like that's an individual you don't want to be around normally. So yeah, just the idea of being vulnerable, really, and just allowing someone to teach you something, and then through that, you only grow. Finally, if you had one message to tell women regarding confidence, what would it be?
Do things before you're ready. Because I was not ready to be interviewed about being a confident woman today. I absolutely wasn't. And I think that I thought about it and I did my Amy Cuddy poses. If you know her talk, it's all about power posing. Okay. So I did my power posing.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, you know what? I'm not ready to do this, but you know what? One day I will be. So I'm going to do this before I'm ready. I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to interview and see what happens.
It's so awesome because honestly, you exude so much confidence through even just this video that the idea of you feeling like you aren't is interesting to me. Yeah, so I mean the idea, yeah, faking it till you make it and just doing it. But I love the idea how you say it though, instead of the typical fake it till you make it, is do before you're ready is so good because we waste so much time on the idea of getting ready, planning. We get lost in planning. And sometimes it's procrastination disguised. But yeah, that's awesome. So I'm happy that you chose to do the video because you've given me some really good information. So I greatly appreciate it, Jennifer.
I'm so glad. And I'm excited about your series. I can't wait to see what other women have to say and their different takes and influences. And I'm super excited to follow you and figure out what you're doing next.
Oh, I appreciate it. Isn't Jennifer a great lady? I had so much fun talking with her, and I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I did while I conducted the interview. If you would like to talk with Jennifer more, you have questions, you want her to come do some public speaking for you, or you have a great part in a play that she has to be a part of, look at the link below for her email and reach out to her. She's a firecracker and would be a great addition to whatever you guys are working on. Until next week, when I send you out another fabulous women's interview, have a great week. Let me know what you thought of this interview in the comments, and have a great day. Cheers and be brave.